where do we see Connie next?
Connie has a plains rider mount now. She did a good enough trade to get herself a mount, and is following the river in the direction that she heard who she thinks is Master Jiva headed in. She's looking for signs of, like, camp, any tracks that would match a humanoid. What species is he? Is he...
Thakwash.
Thakwash?
They basically look like horses. You got horse heads. As you go, give me another xenology check. Hard this time. You're thinking about Master Jiva.
Yeah. I mean, I've met Master Jiva.
Yeah. But do you know anything about his species?
That's the question. Yeah, I'm not gonna argue for a boost or anything. Let's just roll that. There we go. 2 successes and 3 threats. That ghost cat is right behind me.
So Thakwash can have interesting minds where they are able to compartmentalize things to an extreme extent, where different portions of their minds can almost have different versions of themselves.
So they have multiple personalities?
Sort of.
Okay.
It's unique to them.
Yeah.
And I think you've probably only met your 3 threats, Master Jiva, one time. You've maybe heard about him from your master. They both grew up in the Coruscant Temple. So Connie's goal, as she guides her large bird along the edge of the river, is to maybe catch up to Jiva or find out where Jiva's going next.
Yes.
The river meanders through the forest before you begin to see it pick up speed. It goes from the thin, slow river near the village to a wide river with rapids as the trees begin to clear. And as they do clear, you get a view of a large valley in front of you with those same sandy-colored grasses and a few stands of trees, tall pine trees here and there. The river goes off the edge of this cliff in a large cascade and fills a lake with a few little streams that shoot off of it down below. And off in the distance you can see smoke coming up from somewhere on the plains.
Like a thin, like campfire smoke, bonfire smoke, wildfire smoke. Like what are we talking?
It's thin. There are a couple wisps of thin smoke drifting up into the atmosphere. It's at a distance where it's difficult to see what's making it. But what kind of stuff does Connie currently have on her? What has she traded away, and what does she still have from her emergency kit from the back of the Sky Sprite?
She traded away the stove for the bird. I want to say she still has binoculars, because that seems like a dumb thing to get rid of. So she still has like something that will allow her to see long distances.
A crash survival kit, which is a real thing in this game, contains a thermal cloak, multi-tool, distress beacon, 2 emergency comlinks, a spool of wire, a basic med pack, 2 respirators, a water jug with a filter, a glow rod, high tensile microfiber line, ration packs, and an emergency flare gun. I think you had the stove in there as well, and I'll let you have some binoculars. You sit astride your Celcelli and you take out your binoculars and look in the distance. It is quite distant. You can see the shapes of large machinery. You can see some people moving around. They don't look like Dracelians. And you see among them the glint of white from 2 troopers.
So that's not good. But with troopers? So what are these machines doing?
You can't tell. They're not machines that you know.
What is the Republic doing?
2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still have those emergency comlinks on you?
I don't think that's something that the Dracelians would have been interested in.
Okay. Do you want to scan this vast open space for Jiva?
Yes. Like, the machinery caught my immediate attention, but I see troopers. I'm not going over there. Unless I absolutely have to. I'm looking for any other signs of an errant Jedi Master.
It is going to be, with a flip of a story point, 1 red and 3 purples.
Perception?
Yeah.
Well, I'll flip that story point back to make it a yellow and a green against the red and the 2 purples.
It's 3 purples.
The red and 3 purples. I would like a boost die because I have a pretty good vantage point.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay. Let's see what happens.
Failure and 3 advantages.
You do not see Master Jiva.
Yeah.
You do see that among this machinery, 2 clone troopers, the other people moving around doing something. There's a ship.
There's a ship. That could be a good way off planet. Well, I guess seeing actual troopers and non-Dracelian life forms means that I have to actually consider the questions that I have that I've been putting to the side because I've been too busy surviving. Namely, why the Criff clone troopers were shooting at me, and presumably at Master Jiva, aboard his own ship, and what exactly happened to all of the light in the galaxy. And why exactly I haven't seen any clone troopers coming after me, because I've been on this planet for 2 weeks, and this and earlier have been the first signs I've seen of outsiders. If I did some stealth in that encampment with the machines and the ship, I could get some very useful information.
You could.
And honestly, Master Jiva might be drawn towards that too, so.
So that's where you're heading?
Yep.
Okay. How do you want to get down this cliff?
Oh yeah, it's a cliff. Is there some sort of, like, is it just a cliff? There's no possible path that could be seen?
I think you, scouting along the edges of this cliff, you spot some rings hammered into the stone.
Mm-hmm.
That you would assume that the locals tie ropes down to get down.
How am I supposed to get my bird down there with me?
It's got little tiny wings. It's incapable of flight. You might have to go the long way.
Oh, that's inconvenient.
You can see where the cliff tapers down, but that will take you out of your way, probably half a day.
Honestly, it's worth it.
You follow the cliff as it tapers down into the plain. You leave the sound of the waterfall behind and head down towards where this forest turns to plain. And scream. Connie, among the Dracelians, face marked with coal, is crouched in the tall grass, looking at a group of these large sky grazers. They have come down from the sky and are preening themselves in the shallow waters of a marsh.
Success. I found them.
You got there eventually.
Eventually. These things are huge.
They're very large. The sounds of the slug throwers ring in the air, and the Dracelian hunters take 2 sky grazers. They set up some sleds made of the large pine branches dragging behind the birds, and they put the sky grazers on them, and you all head back into the village. Getting back, you receive the praise of the locals as you bring in food for food for days. And your master stands in one of the nearby doorways, his arms crossed. He's not wearing his cloak. You can see his I think on this planet he gets pretty casual with his Jedi robes. He's got his sleeves rolled up. He's got his arms crossed, and you can see the gold and silver glint of his lightsaber at his belt, and he gives you a thumbs up as you walk by, proud with your birds.
You know, Connie's just like beaming.
Yeah. What is the feast like that night?
There's lots of music, and there's storytelling. Even at some point, her master is regaling the village with some epic tale.
An epic tale of a Mon Calamari Jedi who defeats a Dark Lord of the Sith in the ancient days.
Yeah. There's a lot of merriment and celebration and good food and laughter. And I imagine like the hunting party still has the the markings on their face.
The charcoal, yeah.
Yeah.
And the events go late into the night. The moons rise, and Connie goes to bed in the little room in the little hut that she shares with her master.
Yeah.
When she wakes up in the morning, Rona's not there. He didn't leave any instructions for you.
Why does he just disappear like that? I'm looking for him. Connie leaves the hut and systematically goes through the entire village looking for Master Rona.
She does not find Master Rona. She does run into Hocto, who says that Rona left early this morning. He took his bird.
Which direction did he go in?
He went east, towards the Badlands.
Interesting. Well, he didn't tell me that I can't follow him, so I'm gonna go follow him. See you tonight.
You take your bird out and ride off into the plains towards the Badlands. It is a long journey, and I think it's afternoon by the time you get there. The sun is beating down despite the cold season, and the Badlands are oddly quiet. You can hear the animals in the fields miles and miles away. They echo off the stone and sand of these outcroppings. The earth here looks like it has been painted reds and greens and yellows in stripes on the rocks and sands.
It's eerily quiet, and yet filled with strange noises as Connie urges her mount into the canyons. She's looking for any signs of other Saley, of a single Saley bird, to see if she can track down her master.
You're just only rolling survival tonight.
Yeah. I'm gonna add a force die to this one though.
Why?
Because I'm also reaching out with my feelings to see if I can find any just sort of sense any indication of where he went. I'm going to add a boost die because I know he was on his mount, I am kind of interacting with an animal. Tracks. What difficulty do you want me to roll?
That is a question. Let's see.
Yeah, definitely by the end of this session, I'm going to be adding another rank into survival.
Yeah, it is 3 purples.
Okay.
And I'm going to flip a dark side point on it. So it's a red and 2 purples.
See, I was just thinking to myself, let me go ahead and flip a dark side like a light side point. So then Mark has 2 dark side points. But then you did that, and I'm like, well, now I feel obligated.
Just hoping for that despair.
0 successes, 2 threats, and a dark side.
As you move into this area of the world that you've never been in before, there is something there at the edge. There's a little bit of darkness here. Something is trying to creep. And you could know where your master is. You could find him. But you'd have to let it creep in.
Yeah. Connie, she's just about to be 16. She's not even fully aware of what this is, as she just sort of leans into that, thinking that it's going to point her in the direction of her master.
As you turn a corner, following the flat earth between these towering structures of rock and sand, you brush up against some dry vegetation. The sound of it almost echoes in the valleys of this place. And as you turn around a corner, you see standing at the top of one a large cat.
Did it see me?
It does. It sees you, and it looks directly at you. It is sandy colored, like the earth around you. It has these large tusks, these saber teeth, and it looks at you, and then it turns and walks away. And as it walks away, your master turns around the corner, and his Celcelli bird is startled by you and your bird. These birds are easily startled. And he says, "Whoa, Connie."
Oh, hey, there you are, master.
What are you doing here?
Looking for you.
You should not go off on your own.
She just, looks at him.
Padawan,
Master.
lead the way back to the village.
Well, what are you doing out here? Also, I just saw a big cat.
He looks in the direction that you're pointing. Even better that we move.
Are you going to tell me what you were doing out here as we move?
That is none of your concern, Padawan.
Okay. Just going back the way that we came.
Why did you come out? He asks as you make your way back into the plains, where you can hear the insects and birds once again.
You were gone. Left no note. I didn't really have anything else better to do, so I figured I would find you. What?
Nothing better to do? You could not have helped Hakta with his chores. You could not have assisted old Ramda with the washing.
I mean, I could have, and if that's what you
There are plenty of things to do around the village.
Connie, just stops dead in her tracks.
He keeps walking. His bird keeps walking a couple paces, and he pulls on the reins and stops. He looks back over his shoulder.
I am not a Dracelian. I am a Jedi in training, yes, and my master had wandered off with no instructions for me. You did not tell me to stay in the village. You did not tell me whether or not I should be doing any studying, meditation, anything like that. So I sought you out. And I want to do a sense check, because I want to know his emotional state.
Okay.
I think that's just a single force die.
It is.
Yeah, I'm using that dark side pip, because this is kind of an agitating conversation.
You're using
It seems like a little bit of a conflict here.
On your master. You reach out and sense his agitation, uncharacteristic agitation. And I think he senses you probing. Mind your feelings, Padawan. He turns his bird and walks the few feet back to you, inclines his head, and he says, "Keep up if you can." And he flicks the reins, and the bird takes off at a run.
If he thinks, flicks the reins as hard as I can to chase off after him, that one is the pot calling the kettle black with the mind your feelings crap.
3 purples. It's for riding your bird.
I'm interacting with an animal.
Sure.
Do you want to do any setback or anything?
Nah.
Alright. It's 1 success and 2 threats.
You beat your master back home.
That's what he gets.
Tell me how this race went. How did you beat him?
He took off, but he honestly doesn't ride through this plane as often as Connie does. So Connie knows the pitfalls. So he encounters like a couple of like holes that cause his mount to falter, or rises that slow him down, and Connie just bypasses all of them.
At some point, you come to a stream, and he and his bird have to slowly cross at a deep spot where you and your Selselli bird jump off of a higher point of rocks, and its little wings just barely keep you in the air for a second. And he catches up to you at the village, and he says, Connie, you are still young, and you are not ready for every lesson I have to teach. The lesson out in the Badlands is not one for you today. Perhaps in a few years. I apologize for leaving you without instructions. I don't know what I thought. I should know by now that you would have come after me. And I shouldn't have trusted Hokuto, he side-eyes Hokuto, by telling him where I was going.
Well, one, you should always tell someone where you're going in case you need, like, what if you're gone for too long, then we should know where to look for your body.
Hokuto.
That's just basic survival, master, that you've taught me. Two, yeah, communication. It's a two-way street. I won't follow you off into whatever lesson I'm not ready for, as long as you communicate with me that you don't want me to. Deal?
We have an agreement.
Just gonna storm off towards our hut.
And there's a screen wipe. Thank you for listening to this episode of Coruscant Nights. Connie was played by Erica Goodwitch. For more from Erica, visit goodwitchstudios.com. Thank you to AJ for donating for Destiny for this episode. If you like Coruscant Nights and want to support all of Nightcast Creative shows, please visit us at patreon.com/Coruscant Nights. Coruscant Nights is produced by Nightcast Creative. For more about us and the things that we do, visit nightcastcreative.com.